Welcome back to the Midnight Narrator, where places vanish from maps and memories fade like whispers on the wind. Tonight, we explore a chilling tale of a hometown erased from existence, a place called Havenwood, and the desperate search for answers that leads down a path of increasing dread and isolation. Prepare to confront a reality where the past is not just lost, but actively being unwritten. Join me as we unravel the haunting mystery of the Absence of Havenwood. Turn down the lights, steel your nerves, and listen as we explore the chilling void left by a town that never was. Everyone says my birthplace, Havenwood, doesn't exist. I'm starting to believe them. But that doesn't mean it was always the case. Let me explain. The first time I encountered this bizarre denial was after my first semester at the state university. I went to the regional bus terminal, my worn duffel bag slung over my shoulder, and asked the attendant for a one-way ticket to Havenwood, Vermont. She looked up from her computer screen, her brow furrowed. Havenwood? I don't see that listed. Havenwood, Vermont, I repeated a little slower this time, pointing to the state on a nearby map. After she performed a more extensive search on her system, even calling over a supervisor for assistance, they concluded that if Havenwood was a real place, it wasn't serviced by their buses. That's impossible, I protested, a knot forming in my stomach. I could picture the small, weathered bus depot as clearly as I could see the terminal around me. Every summer, my family and I would take the early morning bus to Burlington, boarding at the stop just off Hemlock Street. My father would slip me a $5 bill to get a soda and a pastry from the bakery across the street. My younger brother Finn and I would sit on the cracked vinyl benches, excitedly anticipating our trip. But recounting these memories to the increasingly impatient attendants did nothing to change their system, which stubbornly omitted Havenwood from its destinations. I spent that winter break alone in my cramped dorm room, desperately trying to contact my family, but no one answered. Mother, father, brother. Phone calls went straight to voicemail. Emails bounced back as undeliverable. Text messages remained unread, and their social media profiles had vanished as if they'd never existed. When I called their home number again, a robotic voice informed me that the number had been disconnected. A cold dread began to settle in. What was going on? The following 2 weeks, ordinarily filled with the warmth of family gatherings, catching up with old friends from high school and the festive cheer of the new year, were instead consumed by my obsessive investigation. I scoured the internet for any mention of my hometown. I came up empty, despite countless hours searching with every search engine I could think of. Digging through online archives and local historical society websites, I found no trace of the small Vermont town nestled in the Green Mountains, known for its annual maple syrup festival and the abandoned granite quarry on the outskirts of town. Even online maps showed only a dense expanse of forest where Havenwood should have been. My hometown had been erased from existence. Even worse, it was beginning to disappear from my own memory. As the break dragged on, and my frantic search failed to produce a single shred of evidence of Havenwood's existence, I noticed my own recollections becoming fragmented and indistinct. While staring blankly at the television on New Year's Eve, watching the crowds in New York City celebrate, I realized I couldn't clearly remember any previous New Year's celebrations. How had I spent them in Havenwood? It's normal to forget some details, for memories to blur together, but to lose every single New Year's Eve from my personal history, it felt like a part of me was missing. And in the gaping hole where Havenwood and my first 18 years should have been, a chilling emptiness resided. When my roommate Liam returned in January and found me holed up in our dorm room, surrounded by printouts of map searches and dead-end web pages, he naturally asked what was wrong. "What isn't wrong?" was my weary response. Desperate for any confirmation of my memories, I questioned Liam. "You must remember me talking about Havenwood, right? My family, my brother Finn, brother." While he agreed that we had countless late-night conversations and that I likely mentioned my home, he couldn't recall any specific details. It was as if the very concept of Havenwood had been erased from his mind as well. The only positive outcome of this unsettling conversation was that I now had an ally. Liam, fascinated and concerned by my situation, decided to help. He quickly caught up on my fruitless online searches and concluded that we needed to see the location for ourselves. So on a frigid weekend in late January, he drove us in his beat-up sedan into the heart of Vermont, to the coordinates where Havenwood should have been nestled among the mountains. To my growing horror, we found only a dense forest. Where Hemlock Street should have intersected with Birch Lane, there was only a barely visible dirt track leading into the trees. Liam was hesitant to risk his car on the uneven terrain, but after some pleading, he reluctantly agreed. We drove slowly along the overgrown path, tree branches scraping against the sides of the car, creating a claustrophobic tunnel of foliage. "This is it," I said, my voice trembling. "Havenwood should be right here." I jumped out of the car, my heart pounding in my chest, and plunged into the undergrowth. I'm not sure what I expected to find. It wasn't a rational decision, just a desperate emotional impulse. A mix of anger, grief, confusion, and fear that propelled me through the thick brush. I stumbled and nearly fell, tripping over something half buried in the leaf litter. I turned back to see a small, weathered wooden box, almost like a birdhouse, lying on the forest floor. Inside, protected by a piece of worn leather, were several pages of parchment, filled with strange symbols and intricate drawings. The script looked almost like runes, but nothing I recognized. "What is that?" Liam asked, finally catching up, out of breath. It was the question we wrestled with for the next month. Neither of us had any expertise in ancient languages or symbology, so we showed the pages around campus, taking them to history professors, linguistics students, even an art history professor specializing in medieval iconography. One by one, they examined the documents, attempting to decipher the markings, but each attempt ended in failure. One professor called the script remarkably complex and unlike anything I've encountered, while another suggested the pages were simply elaborate forgeries. But the fact that I'd found them precisely where my hometown should have been prevented me from accepting that explanation. Something was written on those pages, something that might hold the key to what happened to Havenwood. But I'll never know for sure. Because on the night of March 3rd, someone broke into our dorm room, ransacking the place, and the only thing they took was the box containing the parchment pages. The following week, Liam was gone. I found a note taped to my desk. "I can't do this anymore, man. They're watching us. I need to get away, somewhere they can't find me. I'm transferring to a school in California. I'm sorry." There was no phone number, no forwarding address, just those words, and the chilling certainty that he was right. I've since taken a part-time job at a local bookstore to afford staying in the city through the summer. I have nowhere else to go. While grappling with the fact that I've become an orphan in every sense of the word, I can't shake the feeling of being watched. Whatever happened to Havenwood, it wasn't good. I can feel it deep inside. The echo of lost voices, the absence of a place that should be. I feel it, and it makes me sick with a profound and unsettling grief. But I cling to the horror because it's all I have left of home. And sometimes, when I'm alone in the bookstore late at night, I think I hear a faint whisper, a name on the wind. Havenwood. And there we conclude our unsettling journey into The Absence of Havenwood, a story that delves into the terrifying consequences of a reality rewritten and the profound loneliness of being the sole witness to a lost past. What happens when the place you call home disappears, taking with it your family, your memories, your very identity? How do you cope with a loss that defies explanation? Share your thoughts and theories in the comments below. If this tale has left you with a lingering sense of unease, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and activate the notification bell to join us on future journeys into the darkness. This is the Midnight Narrator signing off. Until next time, remember, sometimes the most terrifying absences are the ones that leave no trace.